Hello again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already, you know what to do. Drop down below, hit like and subscribe. Trying to get towards the big 50k this year, so if you haven't already, please do that. It's absolutely free. We have quite a lot to talk about today. There is an elephant in the room which needs addressed, that being the form of Rangers dropping more points last night. We've got to discuss the wider ramifications of that draw, what it means for this title race. A massive day, a massive week for the Scottish Premiership and for Celtic and for Rangers. Quite exciting. It's happening again. As the Four Tops once said, it's the same old song. The pressure is building, the bottle is collapsing, and Rangers have once again slipped up twice in the same week in their quest to challenge Celtic for the Scottish Premiership trophy. Last night, Rangers dropped more points at Dens Park in a 0-0 draw with Dundee, the game that we've been waiting to get played. Should I just cut to the chase? Should I bring it on screen now? Which means the league table is looking a little like this. We are finally on the same amount of games played. We've been waiting a hell of a long time for Rangers to play that game in hand. And this is what the table looks like now with 33 games played for both sides. Celtic 3 points clear of Rangers after 33 games, heading into the post-split fixtures. If you told me, even 1 week ago that we would be 3 clear by the next 2 games being played for Rangers, I wouldn't have believed you. I wouldn't have been down and out. I wouldn't have been doom and gloom. No, by no means would that have been the case. I was expecting Celtic to be going into the split fixtures chasing Rangers, not to be leading the chase, not to be 3 points ahead in the chase. This title race that we've heard so much about, is it the same old song, as I've said? Are Rangers buckling once more under the pressure? Are the serial losers, James Tavernier, Connor Goldson and the usual suspects, falling to the sword of pressure once more? It certainly looks like that, because they couldn't get the job done against a relegation-threatened Ross County. They couldn't get the job done against Dundee at Dens Park. 2 massive blows for them, which has opened the door for Celtic and allowed them to pull ahead in the quest for a league title. This time last week, I thought the best case scenario for us was that we would be a point behind Rangers. And I was thinking to myself, okay, in the split, we need to beat Rangers, we need to win every other game, we can still win this league. The league is not done by any stretch of the imagination, so don't mistake me. I'm not coming on this channel, I'm not using the platform to come on and say that's it, it's done, Rangers have threw it away and it's over, because that is absolutely not the case. But the fact that we are now in a position where Celtic have alleviated a little bit of pressure, and the fact that Celtic have now found themselves 3 points clear of their rivals, is incredible. I genuinely can't believe what we've seen unfold. And I think it was Simon Jordan of TalkSport coming out, and we know what Simon Jordan's like, he's a bit of a plonker, isn't he? But he came out and said that Brendan Rodgers has got lucky. Let's not make anything about this to do with luck. There is no luck involved here. Celtic have chipped away, they've kept the heads down, and when we could have buckled and when we could have fell to the sword of pressure which Rangers have now fallen to, we didn't. We got up, we got on with the job, and we put our heads down and started winning games. Celtic have got themselves into this position through their own doing, to be topped by 3 points right now. Yeah, you do need to rely on your opposition, your rivals slipping up from time to time. That's the nature of the beast, I'm afraid, but that's football. It's just like any other league and any other competition in the world. You win games, you find yourself in the right places, and Celtic have been winning games recently. That's that. We should have won at Ibrox as well. We've been playing much better than what we were a few months ago. We've worked hard to dig ourselves out of a gutter where a lot of fans gave up on hope of winning the league this season. A lot of fans wanted to see a change of manager. A lot of fans wanted something just to change in general at Celtic Football Club. But the team, the players, they've stuck into it. They've got on with the job. And now we find ourselves in a very good position heading into these split fixtures. We have the advantage of playing Rangers at Celtic Park. We have the advantage where we have more home games as well. Generally, everything's looking good for Celtic, whereas Rangers, that's not so much the case. I don't think it's been highlighted enough that Rangers have only won one of their last 5. One game in their last 5. Their form has been terrible for a team who's meant to be in a title race. And one of those results was a draw against Celtic, which they were quite fortunate to get. Right now, signs indicate towards one team being the clear favourites for this title, but I think that the cold reality that we need to face now is it's not over till the final whistle goes. Yes, we're in a very good position, and yes, we have been fortunate enough to laugh at the expense of our rivals. Soak it in, enjoy it. A lot of people have been hoping for it, as you would. But now it's about not taking the foot off the gas and remaining focused on winning this league title, because it's not going to be easy. Yeah, we have the advantages, as I've said, in this split, but they're against the top half sides, they're against sides who are rightfully in this position because of the work they've done in this season. We've got to go to Rugby Park, we've got to go to Dens Park, where Dundee just held off Rangers to a draw last night. We've got to play Hearts, Rangers and St Mirren as well, who have had great seasons respectively. This is going to be tough, and it's not over. There is still points to lose for either side in these remaining 5 games. But Celtic find themselves in a position where, with the advantage in goal difference, with the advantage in points, we've alleviated a little bit of that pressure for ourselves, which is nice. And that's a credit to the team and what they've been doing on the park. In the past couple of games, you have seen Philippe Clement's bubble bursting in front of your very eyes. His tone has changed, his press conferences have changed. He's a man that looks down and out. That's a man that we need to take advantage of on the 11th of May, to say the least. He's been coming up with excuses and comments which have seemed out of character for the man who was lauded for his professionalism in early press conferences. It almost feels like we've seen this before with Steven Gerrard and Michael Beale and Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. As I said, history is kind of repeating itself in front of our very eyes. I think you can see the tension building between the fans at Rangers, the manager, the players, and I think you can just see it all kind of becoming a little bit too much, these high pressure scenarios. And listen, while there's been fans in the stadium, that's been the story for 11 of the past 12 years, or should I say 11 of the last 11 with fans in the stadium. It seems like one side deals with pressure a lot better. That's not opinion, that's fact. And is that the case of what's happening right now? By no means is that me saying that Celtic have this title wrapped up in one. Absolutely not. But I'm just saying these are the kind of pointers and these are the kind of indications that make you feel confident as a Celtic fan, or optimistic as a Celtic fan, that you're going to win the league. Because I feel like this is just what we've been used to seeing so many times, which has resulted in the same end of season trophy lift. I've already seen a few articles and a few people asking when's the earliest Celtic can win the league title, which is not something that I think should be considered right now. I know people are desperate to know who or when we can win the league, who against we can win it. It won't be decided in the next 2 games. That's numerically impossible for Celtic to do that. However, there is a scenario where Celtic can win the league against Rangers should things go even more tits up for them across the road. But listen, that's a conversation that I don't think we should be having right now. I think that we've got to just focus on a game at a time. We've got a Scottish Cup semi-final. We want to win a double. We've then got a game against Dundee to kick us off, which will be difficult when you see what they've done last night. They played pretty well last night. So this whole, when's the earliest we can win the league, just put a lid on it for now, I would say. I'm not even going to bother covering it in this video, because I feel like it's a bit premature for that conversation. There is a job to be done, there is a task to remain focused on, and come the end of the season, we can hopefully celebrate winning a league title, and everything will be hunky-dory. So we'll be back to talk about the Scottish Premiership in a few days' time. We've got the Scottish Cup semi-final on Saturday. Tomorrow we'll be doing the match preview for that and such, and then obviously reacting to the game itself. Hopefully Celtic can book their trip to Hampden for the final. We'll just have to wait and see. As for other stories today, an interesting article came out in The Guardian with Lee Congerton surrounding his time at Celtic. I thought we'd have a quick look at that. My mistake, it wasn't the Guardian, it was the Telegraph. But anyway, an exclusive interview with former head of recruitment Lee Congerton was in the Telegraph over the past couple of days, where he spoke about his time at Celtic and obviously his heavily criticised time at Celtic, where I think we can all be quite honest in saying his recruitment wasn't the best. We didn't have a great track record of signings with Lee Congerton in charge of the club. But he has commented on that. Here were some of his comments in the article. He said, at Celtic we had no money. Peter Lawwell is a nice man, he's an accountant. Brendan spoke to me and said we needed pace and power. Speed. We all know PSG is an amazing youth programme with players at the time who were never going to play for PSG. Two of the players we tried to sign were Moussa Diaby, who's now at Aston Villa, and Christopher Nkunku, who is now at Chelsea. But there were several players I didn't want to be anywhere near them, and that is why I left. Peter knows that, and so did Brendan. Atalanta is very different. So Lee Congerton being brutally honest in his assessment with the money at Celtic, and when he says Celtic has no money, I'm assuming he means in regard to what has been given to use in the transfer market. I don't think that he means Celtic is a generally skint club. I don't think that's what he means by his comment whatsoever. Obviously you could say Celtic has no money in comparison to the big European sides across Europe, but we've seen the bank figures, we've seen the statements and such. We know Celtic does have money, but is this a damning indictment on the people at the top of the club not putting money into the transfer budget? I have always said, and in my criticism of not just Lee Congerton, Hammond, and of course recently Mark Lawwell, I have said recently that I would love to see the difference in the recruitment if they were given big bucks to spend, if they were allowed to have that freedom with money. And what the difference would be in the recruitment and the players that we rate when they bring them in. Because I think it would be a whole different world. And obviously with the money that we do get to spend, we sign a lot of duds because we don't have the money to go out for the best of the best. So, very interesting. Should he still be criticised? Yeah, absolutely, because with the money he was given, we didn't sign good enough players, but we know that there's bigger problems at the club than just a head of recruitment. We know that we have a board that haven't fully backed any head of recruitment or any manager in recent years to the full potential that they could, and that's something that does need to change. It's funny to see one of him coming out with the whole, we wanted Nkunku, we wanted Diaby, because it's painful to hear if that's the case, if that was really an option that was on the table for Celtic that we didn't take, and we look at the players they've now become, that is a really, really frustrating one. But ho-hum, it is what it is. It's another two names to join the McGinns of the world and the Ivan Tonys of the world, and all these players who at one point or another could have been Celtic players and weren't for one reason or another. So very honest interview from Lee Congerton in the Telegraph, and it does kind of come at an interesting time when we're now looking for a new head of recruitment, because the questions have to be asked of how will they be backed moving into next season. But it's a big conversation for another day. We'll probably revisit these comments and the whole head of recruitment stuff in general at some point soon. So yeah, more of that to come. Right then, that does it for today. If you've enjoyed, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. Free clear at the top. Lovely. Love it. See you next time.